Welcome back to RGR Craft. I'm Ryan, and this is a show all about the craft beer industry, home brewing, and how you can do more with malt, hops, and water. This is a video podcast that some will be audio, some will be video, and eventually we'll make it onto iTunes and the whole 9 yards, and you can have just the audio versions if you prefer. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the sub button as well as the drop-down notification. You can even bookmark the RGR Craft playlist to just get the videos that are related to craft beer. It is May. It's been a long spring, and you've seen some of our collaborations. Mike Munhall has joined the channel and will be helping with the programming here, and I've filmed a bunch of things that have to be edited yet, but I'm going to start doing this monthly rundown of big news stories. And one, because it keeps us informed of what's going on, because this beer industry is about to change pretty drastically, hopefully in ways that allow some breweries to consolidate. A lot are in dire straits financially, and it's going to be difficult as we see the effects of COVID-19 coming down. It is something that I thought was very smart of local breweries here in Colorado, but also around the country, to begin canning right away as soon as they knew that they had to close down tap rooms and not have people into their facilities. That has gone on now for a number of months, and they're at a tipping point where a lot of smaller breweries that are relying on foot traffic, relying on people coming into their tap rooms, are about to start shutting down. And that's a sad state of affairs, but it is the reality. What that means is there will be more brewers condensing into fewer breweries. I think that is an opportunity for change, for creativity to come to a lot of established brands, and we'll have to see just exactly how that works out. In the meantime, there are a couple of news notes that I want to go over that really stand out to me on where we are right now. And first is GABF, the Great American Beer Fest, which is actually the reason I started this channel a couple of years ago, before we actually even got on to YouTube. And now that we're on YouTube as our primary hub, and we will branch out from that again, I am working on a couple of things so you guys can have this in straight audio form as well. Great American Beer Fest is something that I've gone to for a number of years, particularly with a couple of my buddies. One is Mike, that you've seen in recent video episodes with me. But something that I came to Denver a long time ago in 1999 for the first time I went to the Beer Fest and had a great time. And it has been a very, very long time running. And for the first time in 2020, it is going completely online. The announcement was made last week that the 2020 GABF will not be held at the Convention Center in Denver as it is every single year. The 39th version of this festival will be an online event. Now, the homebrewer contest is still going on. If you are a homebrewer and want to submit for that, that is still able to be done over the brewersassociation.org. You can go get that and find your entry fees just like you normally would. Nothing has changed on that front. However, I think the tasting is going to be something that's going to be interesting. I don't know how they're going to pursue that. We're hoping to get more information as it comes out. But they are planning events, planning ways to have online events. Most notably, I think that the paired option from last year that I thought was really great, putting chefs together with brewers to pair their offerings. I thought that was something that not only went over really well, but I think opened a whole new world of continuing to go down that path. I think that's something people would like to see. There are going to be seminars. There are going to be some of the normal things. And at this point, it's even thought that they should be able to stream live the awards ceremony, which I think will be pretty cool. It's something that I attend, and I enjoy getting a kick of all the brewers. I have some friends in that room every year that I enjoy hanging out with and seeing them get a chance to go up there. And a couple of my buddies have been lucky enough to bring home some hardware. So cheers to them. But going forward, I think that there's going to be probably, I hope that they turn this into an option to expand. And in 2021, I would expect to have the GABF back in Denver as it should be in person. And I will most definitely be there. But I hope that it also carries over and gives people who are not able to travel to it a new option. By building the infrastructure they have to take the fest online this year, I truly hope that it opens up the doors to keeping the fest online at least in some portion, for next year, to expand, continue to recruit what is a very niche market in craft beer fans. It is expanding where it had been expanding. I think this year is going to see it come to a crashing halt in terms of expansion. I know that we've been losing sales in the beer market for the last couple of years to spirits and wine, and that's an ongoing trend. But so if you can take GABF as a launching pad to move it out to the masses and really sponsor it, really market it, I think that you can, again, get craft beer growing in a way that isn't necessarily in the traditional sense that we've seen in person at, 70,000 or 700,000, I don't even know what it is, square foot facility like the Denver Convention Center. So that's a good place to start. And this just may be a glimpse at what is the new era of not only the GABF festival itself, but craft beer in America. Now, number two, I hinted at it last week in our discussion, our live conversation about triples and brewing them at home. Mike and I went into some detail about not only our preferences, but our techniques and what we like to do in terms of recipe design for the Belgian triple style. But that said, I kind of hinted at the fact that I have gone to PicoBrew, and I am going to have an introductory video here probably in the next week or two to give you an overlay of what that is. And what I wanted to do, this actually harkens back to GABF in 2018 when I first got a look and started communicating with the folks at PicoBrew, looking to get an investigation of how it works, what it does, because, again, I thought it was more accessible to more people, to get more home brewers going. I thought it was something that craft fans might enjoy trying. And they continued to put out new models, including the reformed Zymatic, which became the Z1, that I think was very much tailored towards professional or prosumer, just on the edge of amateur brewers. Somebody like myself that brews quite a bit, but would like some of the advanced features. And that became the Zymatic evolution to the Z1, which became the ability to stack them and have pilot batches done at breweries. And I know a couple of breweries that had purchased them specifically for that, to go through piloting in a much faster way for a brewery that maybe doesn't have a pilot system or is a pretty small 3 or 4 or 5 barrel brewery to begin with, where you don't have a whole lot of extra room. So this was an easy way, and I thought it was a well-placed product, and that had followed on the consumer products that had the Pico packs. And what we found out in the news this week is that the receivership has completed. They had been funded by a private firm and had been going for a while towards what I think was ultimately their downfall in diversifying their portfolio. They got away from making beer and tried to go in a lot of different directions, which I think ultimately cost them in terms of going into debt for research and development. But they have some consumer models that brewed these pre-developed packs, some of which were designed by regional breweries and gave you an option, again, for a beginner brewer who doesn't know anything about the overall process to come in and get acquainted. Unfortunately, that receivership has completed, and the original lender who was helping them get by has taken control of the company. They did bid on it and get the resources, and they have subsequently turned around and auctioned off most of the assets of the company and are still in the process of actually not auctioning, but fire sailing the rest of what they have on hand. The Pico packs, I believe, are a thing of the past. They have been sold off, and I don't expect to see them come back again. If they do, I would be interested to see just how many people want to take them up, but it'll be an interesting message. In the meantime, there is still a question mark of how they might move forward. Now, this is a company that bought PicoBrew because they are innovative, and I still feel that they are. It does leave some room for the future, and one thing that is very critical to that system, and one thing that I found, thanks to Ian and the folks that were formerly at PicoBrew, who I got some information with last year at Great American Beer Fest in 2019, and unfortunately wasn't able to get them on the show because of this process and What I didn't realize at the time is the scheduling and the staffing was in some pretty drastic change. But going forward, what we found out is that this company is maintaining the servers, and that's the important thing about an electronic device that uses recipe design online to brew in an automated fashion for folks who don't have a whole lot of manual experience brewing. Those right now in the current iteration of the software are critical. You can't really use them except for in this new manual mode, which is really what I bought it for anyway. And that's what I wanted to tell you all, is that I went and I bought one used. It had been an unused system from a person who had upgraded from their previous iteration, the Zymatic. And so he had received it, had it on hand for a couple of months and hadn't used it because of his concerns and decided to sell it off. So I got it at less than half price, which I think is great for me and I think will be great for this channel. What I had planned to do was move forward in using it as the mainstay for the channel in piloting my beers as they evolve, but also showing process and using that as a way to expose new people. What it's going to become is an ongoing series, just like the Spike Conical series, and I hope you guys have been enjoying that. I'm certainly enjoying the equipment, so thank you, Spike Brewing. I'm going to keep moving forward with PicoBrew, the Z1 that I have on hand. I'm not making any plans to get rid of it or move away from it or towards another piece of equipment, because I do feel that this is at a very interesting crossroads. This is a lending equity company, as I understand it, that now has control of the company, and they have yet to determine how they're going to move forward. Could it become a subscription type package that could allow these servers to maintain, and that they just you have to use the hardware you have and make do with it? In which case, eventually hardware will break down and it will become a thing of the past. There are also some options because they bought the company outright. They own patents and they have the ability to still make machines or make replacement parts. So I think that that's a viable option there. Specifically, the replacement parts are something I feel a lot of users, from my experience, both on forums and Facebook groups, replacement parts are the thing that most current owners are definitely looking for. I would theorize that going forward, that this is a product that has started its life very well, has gotten a little watered down by diversification, trying to do coffee and some other things. And if this company can bring it back in, can pull it together and focus on what is not the random, undedicated person that just wants to throw a Keurig in a machine to make beer. If you go with the brewer plan, with a model like either the Pro or this particular Z, which I think is the most compelling model out there, to aim continually at startup breweries, at what's going to be the consolidation of the craft beer industry, I think that there is still a way forward to make a single product or possibly two products continue to thrive by focusing just on the equipment, on the product itself, not venturing out into distilling and not venturing out into ingredient packs. Narrow it down, take it to the two models that you know can manually brew with raw materials now. That's the key for it, in my mind, going forward. I have written to the company, and I hope that they do respond, because I have some ideas about how to keep them going. And I think that for this channel, this is going to be a great thing to follow through, because should the company decide to shut down and stop operations, which is certainly within their purview, although I don't know how they can make their money back should they do that, it would then turn to an open source kind of thing, again, without any further product support, but with an open source community, one that has already begun trying to correct some of the issues that they can see. I think it could be a really sustainable and really interesting evolution for the home brewer that I'm going to keep paying attention to. In the meantime, I will be back with a look at the Pico, continued looks at the Spike Brewing setup. I think you guys are really going to like this, because it makes a huge difference about how you make your beer and the quality of the beer that you make. We will be back with more discussion about beer style, beer evolution with Mike, as well as some how-tos that we have in the works, and a couple that I've already filmed, actually. So thank you for listening to this. If you like craft beer, make sure you get subscribed to the channel. You don't have to listen to the football stuff if you don't want. You don't have to listen to the beer stuff if you're a football fan. Not a problem. But the podcasts are meant to exist together on one channel for the time being until we get a better way of separating them, and maybe that will come to pass. But in the meantime, I want to say cheers to you. I hope that you have a good one today and have a nice beer for me tonight. And I will be back next week with something new for you. Make sure you hit the sub button and that bell notification so you know when something comes out. Mike will be back soon too. Thank you for listening and checking out this video, and I'll catch you next time.